Hello kids, this is Mr. Whistler with your video lesson of the day, and today we will be talking about how a bill becomes a law. Now, our government has three branches, and the first branch we'll talk about is the legislative branch. It consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Together they are called Congress. Our second branch is the executive branch, who is headed by the President. And the third branch is the judicial branch, the federal court system, which consists of the Supreme Court. So, how a bill becomes a law. A bill can be introduced into either house. For our purposes, we'll introduce it into the Senate. And ultimately, they're going to vote, but they discuss, it goes to a committee, they discuss it, they find all the pros and cons about the proposed bill, and then ultimately they vote. And the first time around, it's a simple majority vote. If it doesn't pass the first house, it is dead. If it does pass, it goes to the next house. They go through the exact same process. It goes to committee, they discuss it, they figure out all the pros and cons about it, and ultimately it's opened up to the entire House, and they vote. If they don't get a majority, it is dead. If they do, it goes to the President, and if he likes it, he signs it, and it becomes a law. If he doesn't like it, he vetoes it and sends it back to the original House. They discuss, and ultimately they vote again, but this time they have to have more people vote for it. This time 2/3 of the members have to vote for it. If they don't get a 2/3 vote, it is dead. If they do get a 2/3 vote, it goes to the other house, where they ultimately vote again. If they don't get a 2/3, it's dead. If they do get a 2/3, they just overrode the president's veto, and he has to sign it. So it becomes a law. Well, if he still doesn't like it, or if this law gets challenged, it can be sent to the court system, and they perform judicial review, which is to determine whether the law is constitutional or unconstitutional. If they find that it's unconstitutional, the law is dead. And if it is constitutional, then it is a law, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And that, my friends, is how a bill becomes a law. Oh, now, the checks and balances. The President's check on Congress and the legislative branch is veto, and Congress's check on the President is override. The judicial branch's check on the legislative branch and executive branch is judicial review, and the President's check on the legislative branch is he gets to appoint the Supreme Court justices, and the legislative branch check on the judicial branch is they get to approve Supreme Court justices. And that is kind of the basics of the balance of power in our government. So here's just the checks once more. Okay, to keep any one branch from having too much power, the framers built in a system of checks and balances. The three branches of government have roles that check or limit the others so that no single branch can dominate the government. Once again, the President's check on the legislative branch is veto. The legislative branch check on the executive branch is override. The judicial branch's check on both the legislative and executive branches is judicial review. The executive branch's check on the judicial branch is appointment. And the legislative branch's check on the judicial branch is to approve the appointments. Now, what I'd like to do is I would like to add in some of the basic powers of each branch. Now, the legislative branch, their main power is to make laws. They can declare war and they can tax. The executive branch, their main power is to enforce the laws, and their commander-in-chief is the president. And the judicial branch practices judicial review and interprets the laws equally.